She was the person I trusted most in the world. For 15 years, Clara wasn't just a friend. She was a sister I had chosen. She was the one who held my hair back when I was sick at a college party, the one who knew the story behind every scar on my heart, the one I called at 3 a.m. when the world felt too heavy to carry alone. We shared secrets, dreams, and our deepest, most vulnerable fears in the sacred space of our friendship. I never, for a single second, imagined she would be the one to meticulously orchestrate my professional downfall. I never thought she would steal the promotion we had both dreamed of, the one I had worked myself to the bone for, by spreading insidious, calculated lies about my integrity and my mental health. And the most devastating part? She did it all while holding my hand, telling me everything would be okay, acting as if her betrayal was some kind of tough love, a favor to the world to spare it from my supposed incompetence. She stood by my side, a portrait of concerned friendship, as I packed my personal belongings into a cardboard box, the weight of her lies crushing me. She thought her betrayal had shattered me. She smiled, a small, pitying thing, as I walked out the door. But she didn't know the CEO had called me privately the night before. She didn't know the board had asked for my detailed, evidence-backed version of events. And she certainly didn't know that for months I had been quietly, methodically gathering the receipts, the deleted emails I'd recovered, the timestamps, the digital footprints of her systematic sabotage. So I stayed quiet. I let her celebrate her hollow victory. I let her gloat in what she thought was her triumph. Because I had learned a brutal, beautiful truth: revenge, true and devastating revenge, tastes infinitely sweeter when it is served calmly, politely, and completely unexpectedly. Clara and I met in our first week of university, two wide-eyed freshmen assigned as roommates. She was all sharp edges and witty banter, and I was quieter, more observant. Our bond was instant and fierce. We were opposites that fit together perfectly. We navigated first loves, heartbreaks, and final exams as a team. After graduation, we both landed jobs at different firms, but dreamed of one day working together. That dream came true 5 years ago when a position opened at Aura, a prestigious marketing firm where Clara had quickly become a rising star. She personally recommended me, shepherded my application, and vouched for me in the interview. Getting the job felt like a culmination of our friendship, a professional extension of our partnership. And for a long time, it was. We were an unstoppable team. The dream duo our boss, Mr. Davies, called us. We'd finish each other's sentences in meetings. Our campaigns were brilliant, and our success felt shared. The turning point was the announcement of the Director of Innovation position. It was the role we had both been working towards, the pinnacle of a career in our field. The competition was understood to be between the two of us. But it never felt like a competition to me. It felt like a shared goal. We'd stay late, brainstorming together, our ideas feeding off one another. I had no reason to believe we weren't in this together. The first sign of a shift was subtle. Clara started taking sole credit for small, joint successes in department-wide emails. She'd forget to include me in meetings with important clients. When I'd gently confront her, she'd brush it off with a laugh. "Oh, you know how stressed I am." It was a last-minute thing. "Don't be so sensitive, Alex." And I, trusting her completely, believed her. I made excuses for her. The foundation of our friendship was so solid, I didn't notice the hairline fractures spreading across its surface. The real foreshadowing began 3 months before the promotion decision. Clara started making odd, seemingly caring comments to our colleagues. Alex has been so overwhelmed lately, I've been picking up her slack, she'd whisper in the break room. Or, she's been so fragile since her breakup, you know? I just want to protect her. She was carefully, skillfully, building a narrative. She was painting a picture of me as emotionally unstable and professionally unreliable, all while positioning herself as the loyal, capable friend who was holding everything together. I was so busy doing the actual work, I didn't see the propaganda campaign being waged against me in the shadows. The trigger was the Synergy campaign. It was my brainchild, a multi-platform, multi-million-dollar project for our biggest client. It was ambitious, innovative, and if it succeeded, it would all but guarantee me the director promotion. I had shared every detail with Clara, from the initial concept sketches to the complex data analytics. She was my sounding board, my cheerleader. Or so I thought. 2 days before the major client presentation, I walked into Mr. Davies' office, my presentation polished and ready for a final run-through. He was sitting at his desk, his face unreadable. Clara was standing beside him, her expression a mask of profound disappointment. "Alex," Mr. Davies began, his voice heavy. "We need to talk about the Synergy campaign." My heart sank. "Is there a problem?" Clara spoke then, her voice soft, almost pained. "Alex, I had to tell him. I couldn't let you present this to the client. It's the same core concept as a pitch from our main competitor. The one that leaked last month." I stared at her, my mind reeling. "What are you talking about? That's impossible. This is my original work." She shook her head, a single, sad tear tracing a path down her cheek. "It was a masterful performance. I know you've been under a lot of pressure. I know you didn't mean to borrow so heavily. But integrity is everything here. I had to say something." She then presented a folder. Inside were fabricated emails, doctored to look like I had been in communication with a rival firm. There were also screenshots of my private work files, altered to show earlier dates, proving I had seen the competitor's material. The evidence was flimsy under scrutiny, but in that moment, in the face of her brazen, tear-stained accusation, it felt overwhelmingly real. Mr. Davies, looking torn, had no choice. "Alex, I'm suspending you, effective immediately, pending an investigation. You are not to present to the client. Clara will take over." The betrayal was so complete, so audacious, it felt like a physical blow. She had not only stolen my work, she had framed me as a plagiarist. She had taken my greatest professional achievement and turned it into a weapon to destroy my career. As I stood there, numb with shock, she gave me a look, a fleeting, almost imperceptible flash of triumph in her eyes before the mask of concern slipped back into place. The person I had loved most in the world had just annihilated me, and she was doing it while pretending to save me from myself. The following week was a waking nightmare. I was officially placed on administrative leave. The news spread through the office like wildfire. Colleagues I had considered friends now averted their eyes when I passed them in the hallway. My phone, once buzzing with work messages, was eerily silent. The isolation was absolute and deafening. Clara, now the heroic whistleblower, was given the director title on an interim basis. She gave the Synergy presentation to the client, who loved it. She was celebrated, praised for her courage and integrity. She would call me every evening, her voice dripping with faux sympathy. "I'm so sorry it had to be this way, Alex. But you'll land on your feet. Maybe this is a sign that this high-pressure environment wasn't right for you." She was systematically gaslighting me, trying to make me believe her narrative. The final, crushing blow came when I was called into HR to be formally terminated. "Gross misconduct and violation of company ethics," the letter stated. As I stood in my now barren office, placing a framed photo of my family into a cardboard box, Clara appeared in the doorway. She was holding a small plant from my desk. "I thought you might want this," she said, her voice soft. She looked around the empty room, her expression one of pity. "I really am sorry it ended like this." She leaned in closer, and in a whisper meant only for me, she added, "You should have known your place. You were always reaching for things that were meant for me." Then she smiled. It wasn't the smile of a friend. It was the cold, victorious smile of a conqueror. And in that moment, any lingering doubt, any shred of hope for our friendship evaporated. The shock and grief solidified into something else, a cold, hard, diamond core of resolve. She thought she had won. She thought I was broken. But as I walked out of that building for the last time, the box in my arms, I wasn't planning my recovery. I was planning my counterattack. For the first few days, I let the world think I was shattered. I ignored calls, stayed off social media, and let the narrative of my disgrace solidify. But inside my quiet apartment, I was a general preparing for war. My first move was my personal laptop. I had a habit of backing up everything, every email, every file, every instant message to a private, encrypted cloud server. A paranoid habit Clara had always teased me about. I started digging. It was tedious, painstaking work. I cross-referenced dates, times, digital logs. And then I found it. The first thread. A deleted email from Clara's work account to a personal, anonymous email address. She had sent early drafts of my synergy concepts to this address weeks before she accused me of plagiarism. I used my old IT contacts to trace the anonymous email. It was linked to a freelance graphic designer Clara had hired to create the evidence against me, the doctored emails and falsified documents. The deeper I dug, the more I found. I recovered deleted chat logs from our internal system where she had subtly badmouthed my work to other team members. I found calendar invites she had sent me for fake meetings, ensuring I was out of the office at critical times so she could swoop in and take credit for my progress. I had timestamps, metadata, a digital paper trail that painted a crystal clear picture of a year-long, meticulously planned campaign of professional sabotage. The power in my heart shifted from victim to prosecutor. I was no longer the disgraced employee. I was a forensic auditor who had just discovered the source of the embezzlement. The friend I had trusted was a cold, calculating fraud, and I had the evidence to prove it. I didn't forward the evidence to Mr. Davies with a triumphant, "I told you so." That would have been emotional, messy. Clara could have spun it as the desperate lies of a bitter, fired employee. My plan required the patience of a sniper, not the rage of a brawler. My plan was about restoration, not just revenge. I reached out to a lawyer, a sharp, discreet woman named Evelyn Reed who specialized in wrongful termination and defamation. I showed her the mountain of evidence. She was stunned by its comprehensiveness. "This is a textbook case of wrongful termination, tortious interference, and defamation," she said. "We can sue them for a fortune." But I shook my head. "I don't want a fortune, Evelyn. I want my name back. I want my job back. And I want the truth to be known." So, we devised a quieter, more powerful strategy. Evelyn helped me compile all the evidence into a single, irrefutable dossier. It was a timeline of betrayal, complete with exhibits A through Z. Then, we made our move. Evelyn contacted the company's legal department, not with threats, but with a polite, firm request for a meeting to discuss the circumstances surrounding Alexandra's termination. Attached to the meeting request was a single, innocuous-looking PDF, the table of contents for my dossier. It was a silent warning shot. The next day, my personal phone rang. It was Mr. Davies. His voice was strained, apologetic. "Alex, we need to talk. The board, we've seen some discrepancies. Can you come in? Privately?" I agreed. But I didn't go to the office. I met him and the head of HR at a neutral location, a quiet law library. I was calm, composed, and I let the evidence speak for itself. I laid it all out, not with anger, but with the cool detachment of a prosecutor. When I finished, the room was silent. Mr. Davies looked ill. "We had no idea," he whispered. My quiet countermove was complete. I had not screamed my innocence from the rooftops. I had forced the people in power to come to me, to ask for the truth, and I had presented it with a silence that was more deafening than any shout. The confrontation did not happen with Clara in a room. It happened over a conference call. A week after my meeting, Mr. Davies requested a review meeting with Clara to discuss the successful launch of the Synergy campaign. She joined the call, her voice bright and confident, expecting praise. "Clara," Mr. Davies began, his voice devoid of its usual warmth. "We've been reviewing the project timelines for Synergy. There seem to be some inconsistencies." I could almost hear her smirk through the phone. "I'm not sure what you mean. It was a complex project." "Indeed," said the head of HR, her voice crisp. "For instance, the initial concept sketches. Our server logs show they were created on Alex's computer weeks before the date you claimed she plagiarized the idea." There was a beat of silence. That must be a mistake," Clara stammered. "Then there's the matter of an email from your account to an external address," Mr. Davies continued, his voice growing colder with each word. "You sent proprietary project details weeks before the client presentation." The call became a dissection. They presented piece after piece of my evidence, each one a brick being pulled from the wall of her lies. Her confidence crumbled into panicked denials, then into desperate excuses, and finally, into a weeping, sputtering mess. She tried to blame me, to say I had framed her, but the evidence was too precise, too digital, too cold. She was on the verge of being fired when I finally spoke, my voice calm and clear on the line. "Hello, Clara." The silence on her end was absolute. She had thought I was gone, erased. To hear my voice, steady and in control, in the midst of her professional execution, was the final, devastating blow. "I just wanted you to know," I said, my tone not gloating, but simply factual, "that I have the receipts." Then I hung up. I didn't need to hear her fired. The victory wasn't in her termination. It was in the silent, terrifying realization that must have crashed over her in that moment, that the person she had underestimated had not been broken, but had been quietly, methodically building the cage around her. Clara was fired for gross misconduct. The company, eager to avoid a lawsuit and a massive scandal, offered me a full and public reinstatement. They offered me the Director of Innovation position, with a significant raise and a formal, written apology. I considered it for a long time, but I realized I didn't want to go back to the place where such a betrayal could fester. I negotiated a generous severance package instead, one that acknowledged their fault and gave me the financial freedom to start my own consulting firm. My company, built on a foundation of transparency and integrity, is now thriving. I am my own boss. The story, of course, became a quiet legend in our industry. Clara found it difficult to find another job at her previous level. Her reputation was permanently tarnished. I never spoke to her again. The friendship was a beautiful, intricate vase that she had chosen to smash. I didn't try to glue the pieces back together. I simply swept them up and discarded them, making space for something new. This real-life story taught me that trust is a precious currency and not everyone is worthy of it. I learned that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful one. True strength lies in quiet observation, meticulous preparation, and the unwavering belief in your own truth. The most satisfying revenge is not a dramatic, public takedown, but the peaceful, prosperous life you build after someone tried to destroy you. Clara thought she had taken everything from me. In reality, she forced me to find a version of myself I never knew existed, a version that was stronger, smarter, and unbreakable. When someone tries to bury you, they don't realize they're just giving you roots. My silence wasn't surrender. It was the soil from which my comeback grew. If this emotional story about friendship, betrayal, and the power of quiet strength has resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. For more calm, reflective real-life stories, like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.